Hey, how you doing? Austin here, and in this video we're going to be talking about NIO, the dominant EV car manufacturer. In this video I'm going to be bringing you some news related to them that is talking about how the fact that their deliveries can double and are most likely going to double this year. This is a piece of information that I thought was relevant enough to bring you guys a video on NIO. I want to state up front that I'm extremely bullish on this company. I own NIO stock and I'm looking to continue to add NIO stock to my portfolio because I believe in this company long term. I think that EV is here to stay. They are the dominant leader in the Chinese marketplace and continuing to expand their footprint globally. We're going to talk about their battery as a service scenario and how I think that that's a key differentiator for the company. Now, I want to state up front for those of you guys out there, I like XPeng, I like Li, I like Tesla as well. I own all of those relevant stocks in the EV space. I believe overall in the EV. The EV market sector has had some pullback recently where money's been moving out of EV and high growth stocks and moving back into kind of more traditional stocks. I think that trend will continue to maybe change, come back where the investment dollars will continue to come back to NIO and some of the other players. But frankly, short term, I'm not really letting that stress me out. And I'm looking at the stock long term. So that's how I look at it. So that's what we're going to be covering today. This video is for entertainment purposes only. And if you get value out of this video, please do two things. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. I'm building a community here on YouTube. I've got a 30+ year investment background. And my goal is real simple, is to help you make more money in the stock market by bringing you these types of videos, as well as other videos. I bring you videos on penny stocks, momentum growth stocks, show you how to invest in those guys, as well as update videos for major companies like NIO. So if those are of interest to you, subscribe. Also drop a like on the video. I greatly appreciate it. Helps the video, helps the channel, and all that. So let's go take a look at what I got for you for NIO. So a real quick look at NIO's chart as of right now. The stock's up about 2.61% today. 6-month chart, it looks like we might finally be starting to trend in the right direction where the stock is bouncing up a little bit. Obviously, the NASDAQ's helping us. The NASDAQ's up almost 100 points today. But overall, it feels like we've definitely maybe started to turn the corner and maybe we're starting to move in the positive momentum direction related to the overall market sector, as well as, all of the EV stocks moving up. In fact, let's take a look at these real quickly. If we add Tesla and say XPeng in and add Li in, let's see what that looks like. So you can see what I love to do with these charts, guys, is I like to look at all of the major EV players kind of in one chart because it gives me an overall good feel that, number one, look how all of these stocks track to each other and they shadow each other. That's really important to me. It's impressive, and it really shows that any of these stocks, as dependent upon how you like to invest and which one you believe might have stronger fundamentals, things like that, they all tend to shadow each other. And see how they're all outside of Li, which is the orange line, the very bottom line. Look like they're starting to kind of have a bounce back up line, right? See how they're starting to move back up. And so the blue line in the middle right here is NIO. The yellow line is Tesla, and the kind of aqua blue line is XPeng, and the orange one is Li. But you can see how we're starting to kind of, again, we shadow each other, but we see how we all kind of, we blipped up, keyword being blip, B-L-I-P, blip. Use it today in a sentence, freak somebody out. We're starting to move back up. They all dipped. Tesla didn't. Tesla moved up a little bit, and then now we're all kind of starting to move gradually in that kind of upward momentum. Potentially, looks like we might start to be looking at a turnaround for overall EV marketplace stocks. And as I mentioned, I own all of these guys. Would love to see that happen. So let's go take a look at what I got for you for this piece of information. Okay, so despite the chip shortage, deliveries could double this year. So they are expected to report their Q1 earnings on April 29. If you didn't know that, now you do. So we are literally only 8 days away from earnings. This particular analyst rates the stock a buy with a $60 price tag. I agree in this scenario. I think that this is a 12-month out $60 stock, which would represent a 64% approximately upside. We've got 9 analysts covering, and I think we've got 3 holds and 6 buys. And you can see from tip ranks, whether you put credence in the analyst or not, that's your choice. I use it as a data point just to kind of go, okay, kind of overall consensus of what the market's seeing and looking at. But it looks like, yeah, I definitely agree with these guys in this scenario that I think it's a $60 stock inside of 12 months. Okay, So right here, NIO has grown its deliveries more than five times year over year in March to about 20,100 vehicles as production of its ES8 and EC6 SUVs ramped far faster than the global industry's production growth. Global car production growth of 16%. So they're outpacing the global car industry's growth, and 77% increase in China unit sales. NIO's sales are exceeded its own published prediction of 19,500. Again, this was all caveated around this global chip production that we thought was really going to have a problem, and it didn't really seem to obviously impact them at all. And so the company's sales are likely to remain strong through 2021, the entire year, roughly doubling through year end, even if production slows somewhat in near term Q2 as the industry works out the kinks in the U.S. in its semiconductor supply chain. They have come up and said, NIO and some of the other guys come up and said that they might have some kinks in the supply chain Q2 later this year. That is true. I remember that from a previous video, but it looks like, again, they're still on track to double the production scenario. Okay, so forecast deliveries of 87,000 EVs this year, 141,000 EVs in 22, and 223 EVs in 2023. Now, I've said this all along, and I believe that one of the key differentiators for NIO as it relates to the market, again, I like XPEV, I like Lee, I like all those guys for different reasons, is that, but what NIO has done is really two fronts. Number one, I'm assuming you know this, but if you don't, this blue paragraph right here talks about the fact that you can buy a NIO car without a battery, okay, which number one, reduces the cost of car. It lowers the barrier to entry, thus they have more people buy their cars because their cars are cheaper than their competitors, up to $20,000 cheaper depending upon the configuration. 10 to 20,000 is the range. So that gets more people to buy the cars. Number two, around the battery, they sell the battery as a subscription service, creating a revenue stream. Okay, so they have this battery as a swap, battery as a service model, BAAS, battery as a service model. So they've got these battery swap stations in and around China, as well as they will be moving into Europe as well, because as you've probably heard previous news, they have a major deal with Sinopec, the Chinese state-owned government, basically stations. So they're putting in these battery swapping stations where if you can pull in and swap out a battery, if you have the battery as a service scenario, which you do when you buy a NIO car. Okay, all right, let me see right here. Yeah, I just talked about that. Okay, so I thought this was interesting because I didn't really know this piece of information. This particular analyst estimates that it cost NIO between $450 and $1.5 US to set up a battery swap station, and another $300,000 to stock it with batteries and inventory. That's the first time, and I do a lot of news around NIO, guys, that was kind of outlined. I thought that was interesting. Although both these costs will decline in future as standardization is implemented across the industry. Again, they do it better, they do it faster, cheaper, related to building these stations. So over the next 4 years, there's going to be growing from 500 stations to 5,000 stations. I've already mentioned it's because of this deal they signed with Sinopec. And also, if you didn't know this, NIO is going to be allowing owners of the Ford Mustang E electric car in China to utilize its battery charging stations, thus growing NIO's customer base. And again, thought this was interesting, helping NIO amortize battery station costs faster. Okay, so they've got a deal with Ford in China to allow the Mustang E to be able to charge at their stations. So NIO is going to generate $5.2 billion in revenue and lose 29 cents per share this year, but grow revenues 85% to $9.6 billion in 22, and turn its first profit in 22 at 14 cents per share. Okay, so right here by 2023, analysts are seeing revenues grow another 73%, reaching $16.6 billion, and profits growing sixfold to 88 cents per share. Assuming NIO hits these numbers, its PE based on 2023 earnings would drop to a somewhat more palatable 68 times earnings. NIO has strong backing from the street. Absolutely. We've already looked at that, but we're going to look at that again. They've got 6 buys, 3 holds, with a 12-month target price of $62.30, representing from current today pricing at $37.94, 64% upside. You can look real quickly and see on the buys, we've got some highs. We got one analyst, or some analysts say that it's $81. We got some analysts saying it's as low as $30. That gives us the average of $62. But you can see we got Deutsche Bank at 70, Merrill Lynch at 63, Morgan Stanley at 64, Citigroup saying hold, Jefferies is saying hold. Again, you're going to get this, right? JP Morgan saying it's a buy. Apologize if you hear the dogs. I've got two little Australian shepherds, and they consider themselves to be massive guard dogs, considered both of them weigh less than 20 pounds. But occasionally when you're recording, that happens. Dogs bark. It is what it is. I can't stop it. I apologize. Okay, so you can see their actions are all reiterated. So let's wrap up with a few final thoughts. So bottom line, I'm a huge fan of this company. Long term, I'm not viewing this as a short-term trade. I'm really not worried about some of the short-term pullbacks, things like that. It's going to happen. EV seems to really get pounded if the NASDAQ drops. We had money moving out of EV going into more traditional stocks. We might be starting to see some of the return of that. We've had some people shorting the stock. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on. There is bear sentiment around this stock, as there are with most of the EV plays to a certain extent. That does impact some of the selling pressure and things like that. But I do consider this a positive stock long term. I'm going to keep saying that. That's how I view these investments. I'm a 12+ month investor out in NIO in the overall EV marketplace. Hope you've enjoyed this video, enjoyed making it for you, bringing it to you. As always, I'm here for you, and I'll be bringing you even more videos. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, drop a like if you got value out of it. I'll see you.